2024 is turning out to be a really great year for metroidvanias, and if you're into indie metroidvanias like I am, you should definitely check out Crypt Custodian. In Crypt Custodian, you play as Pluto, a cat who has unfortunately died, ended up in the afterlife, and then gets banished outside the palace, which is basically the good place, to clean up the afterlife for the rest of eternity. In this game, your weapon is quite literally a broom. You're out there sweeping up trash, whacking enemies with the broom. When they died, they give you more trash. You collect as much trash as you can, because apparently in the afterlife, garbage is currency. But you just go out there, collect as much trash as you can. You go to this bar called the Sinner's Inn, and at the Sinner's Inn, you can buy a ton of different things. You can buy upgrades, upgrade points, and you can buy special attacks. Now, upgrade points, the more upgrade points you have, the more of the upgrades, individual upgrades that you can equip at one time. And so basically, if you collect enough upgrade points, you can turn on every single one of the upgrades that you get, which is quite a few of them. Upgrades work in the same kind of way as charms do in Hollow Knight. You equip it and it gives you some kind of enhancement to your stats, or gives you a special skill. Some of them will, like, let's say one of my favorite ones is when you defeat an enemy, the enemy will explode and that shockwave will hurt other enemies. So the charms that will essentially give you a more attack strength or a faster attack the lower health you have, or maybe more damage if you have full health. There's a ton of different ones you can choose from. There's a couple of really useful ones, like one that has a little ghost friend will follow you around, and if there's piles of trash nearby and you don't necessarily see it, it'll go over there and it'll break it up and you'll collect it. There's actually hidden trash, which is kind of a weird concept. So you can get the upgrade to either show you that hidden trash, or you can just get that little ghost friend who'll go break that trash up even if you can't see it. The combat in Crypt Custodian is pretty basic, and I'm not saying that as a bad thing. It's actually kind of interesting because you're jumping around, dashing around, attacking enemies with a broom. The attack is basically just one button. You press it and it swipes the broom, and you just swipe back and forth. There's no combos. There's no like anything. You don't have to memorize anything. It's not like you press X 3 times and it does like a special thing. If you press it 4 times, there's nothing like that. It just swipes the broom and you hit enemies. The enemies will kind of give you an idea of when they're going to attack, and you'll have to learn what their attacks are like. Like one enemy, it's a little pot, and the head will pop out, and it's like a little bird. And when the head pops out, you know that it's going to start pecking, so you just kind of like jump away, make sure it does the attack, and then you can come back and swipe it some more. So all the enemies have some kind of tell that will show you like what it's about to do, and it gives you an idea to get away. So combat's pretty basic, but in that same sense, sometimes you'll get a ton of enemies around you, and you won't want to have to worry about combos or your special attacks. Special attacks are just one button again. Same thing with regular attacks. The special attack you start out with, or the one that you buy, the first one that you buy when you go to Sinner's Inn, you buy for one piece of trash, and it just causes a spinning circle of an attack around you, and any enemy that's in that little circle just gets rapidly hit multiple times. And it's good for like crowd control. You get a bunch of little enemies around you, and you just use that attack and it hits them all, and you could wipe out a couple enemies real quick that way, just kind of ease your way through. It is really nice. There's other special attacks that do some other crazy stuff, so you can customize how you want to play, and I think it's just a really great concept. And if you played any kind of Metroidvania before, you're familiar with this gameplay. There's a huge sprawling map full of interconnected areas. Each area has its own music, its own color scheme, its own style, aesthetic, its own enemies. Each area has its own boss, and when you beat the boss, you collect a new ability. And new abilities are like different platforming abilities, or like things like that, where you can just get to new areas, and that will allow you to open up new areas of the map that you couldn't get to before. And speaking of the map, I really like the way the Crypt Custodian handles the map. Now, like I said before, it's a giant sprawling map, so there's just so much in it, but there's these little wells everywhere. And pretty typical Metroidvania fashion, the well is like your save point. You can upgrade things or like equip things, and you can also teleport from well to well. But what they did in Crypt Custodian is you can teleport from any point in the map to any of the wells. So you don't even have to be at a well to begin with, and there's plenty of them throughout the map, so that if you need to get to a spot, you can teleport to a well that's fairly close, without having to travel too far or go any crazy different ways. And the map has tons of different switches that you can hit that will open up, shortcuts back through areas. So once you really kind of started, opening up this map, you can get to and from anywhere super, super easy. And I know plenty of Metroidvanias where the map is big and it is sprawling, but the fast travel points are few and far between. Even if you are near one, the next one might not be near where you need to go, and you have to traverse the map, like a ton of the map, to get to where you want to go. And those things, it's a staple of a Metroidvania, but I find that it can be daunting when you have a map that's so big. So Kyle Thompson, the developer, decided, hey, this is what I'll do. I'll give you a bunch of wells on this map, let you teleport from any spot to any of the wells, and that'll make it easier to traverse this map, because the map is just so big. And the map being so big means there's just so much in it. And that's another thing that's really good. There's tons of collectibles. You can collect jukebox, like CDs, so you put them in the jukebox at the Sinner's Inn, and while you're in the inn, you can play any of the songs that you pick up. You can also pick up upgrade points to let you collect more upgrades. There's also upgrades throughout the map you can find. There's also these little pots that you break them and freeze a spirit, and you get there's 20 of them on the map that you find. And when you free all 20, or actually throughout the time that you're freeing them, you can go back to this one spot it's early on where there's a really big pot, and it's like a cat spirit, and he says, all my children are out there lost, can you free them? And basically it's again, like Hollow Knight, it's like the grubs, right? You go throughout the world and you find the grubs that are in the jars, and you break the jar to free the grubs. When you go back to their home, you get money and all this other stuff. It's basically the same thing, but they're hidden throughout the map, and you gotta go find them. It's just a lot of really cool things to collect. And as you're going through this map, you'll find all these other spirits that have also been banished to this outer area of the afterlife, and you meet them, you make friends with them, you help them out with stuff, and you end up finding photos. And you find 3 photos for each friend. I believe there's 10 friends that you find throughout the game, and the 3 photos kind of tell you a short version of their story, where they started and basically how they died, and a little bit about them. It gives you a little bit of lore for each of the characters, and just gives you an idea of who they are as a person. And I think it's nice, it's charming, it's very cute, and you get to know these characters better. Now, what's really wild about this game is it's developed by a single person, Kyle Thompson, the person I mentioned before. He made all the art, he designed the game, he programmed everything. The art's all hand-drawn, super nice looking. His brother made the music, Eric. He made all the music for this game. It's atmospheric, it's chill, it's really nice. All the music really does a good job matching up with all the art styles of the different biomes in the game. And it's just really crazy to see what just 2 people can make in this really large game like this. And this isn't the first game they've made together. I know that Kyle developed, this is his 3rd game so far. So the first game was Sheepo. The next game was Islets, which I also have a review for, and you can find it up here somewhere. I'll put a link up there. That was also super charming Metroidvania, hand-drawn as well. And Eric made the music for that game too. Just awesome game. And they make great stuff together, and I really think that at some point Kyle Thompson's going to be a household name when it comes to these things. And if he isn't already, anytime I see him post about a new project he's working on, I get super excited, because I know it's going to be good. Now, I've been talking a lot about this game, and I just realized I've totally missed out talking about this one specific thing that makes this game super unique. Now, most Metroidvanias are side-scrolling, and they're 2-dimensional. So, you're jumping up and down, and you're moving left and right, and that's all you get. But Crypt Custodian is a top-down isometric camera view, which is so unique in this space. I don't think I've ever played another Metroidvania that has that kind of camera angle. And It's weird. You might think it doesn't work, but I think it really does work. The issue is that the way a lot of these games in this genre work is they work with verticality. So things are very tall. So you have to get like a high jump or a double jump or things like that, and you have to, be able to climb things and get higher up. Where in an isometric view, that verticality just doesn't really work because you're only really working with up, down, left, and right on like that flat plane. And it may be kind of down at an angle, but it's really kind of a flat surface. So you have to rethink the entire formula. And I think he did a really good job. So a lot of it is just jumping around from platform to platform, but you get like a cool little dash ability. That's he showed off in all of his trailers, and you can jump around, dash around, and when you're fighting enemies, it can get super crazy because you can fit a ton of different enemies all around you. Throughout the game, there's these spots where you see a statue and you walk up to it, and all the paths go away, and the statue basically like unleashes a ton of enemies at you in different waves, and you have to fight all these enemies. And because he has so much space to work with in that specific camera view, that you can put tons of enemies at you, and you can all fit on the screen, and they can all do cool different things, and you don't really have to worry about the verticality at that point. And I think he did a really good job with that. And I should be transparent about this. I did receive a review code from Top Hat Studios, who's the publisher of this game. I received the code to play it and to, give my review of this game. And, I don't like to give numbers when I personally review a game. When I write for this website, gamersocialclub.ca. At the time that this video launches, there will also be a written review for it. On that site, everybody does give an actual number review, but I like to ask, is this game something that I can recommend to people that are maybe interested? And a lot of the times for these indie games, the answer is a resounding yes. And it's the same thing with Crypt Custodian. It's, everything's great about it. The art style, the gameplay, the combat, the music, just the environment, just everything about it, the story, all great. It's not a super long game. I beat the game in about 10 hours. It took me about 13 to finish off collecting everything. But I really think it's totally worth it. And when it launches, which will be exactly when this video launches, it's going to be $20. It's releasing on all platforms. So I played it on Steam. You can get it on Nintendo Switch. You can get it on Xbox, PlayStation, everywhere. $20 I feel like is a really great deal. You're getting a lot of a game for that amount of money, and I think it's totally worth it, and I think it's a must play. I'm a huge fan of metroidvanias, which is, if you haven't noticed that already, it's pretty obvious by my name and the content of my channel. But if you're also into metroidvanias, especially indie metroidvanias, I'm going to try to play as many of them as I can this year. And if you want to see more videos about that, you go ahead and click on my face right over here to subscribe. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one.